River District is a 130-acre master plan community on the banks of the Fraser River. This is Wesgroup Properties' single largest project to date and Vancouver's last waterfront community. With over 7,000 residences, 250,000 square feet of retail space, 25 acres of parkland, and 1.5 kilometers of waterfront trails. A district energy system that promises up to a 90% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. This has everything you'd look for in a community, but beneath the surface lies a complicated reality, in that getting projects like this completed are becoming increasingly difficult for one reason: the cost of delivering housing. Various layers of complexity from policy added over the last 7 to 8 years has made it harder to build homes, forcing layoffs, canceled projects, and in some cases, insolvency. Amid compounding economic uncertainty, these costs have deeply stalled the condo market. In April 2025, a report by Rennie and Associates estimated that unsold condo inventory will jump by 60% this year. To understand the challenges facing River District, let's look back at how this land transformed from sawmills to a multi-billion-dollar community. The East Fraser lands have a long history. Home first to the Musqueam people who lived off its forests and wetlands, then to early settlers who farmed the land in the 1800s. For much of the 20th century, it was dominated by the Canadian white pine sawmill, later run by Macmillan Blodo. At its peak, it was one of the largest mills in the region, fueling Vancouver's housing boom. When the mill closed in 2001, the city saw an opportunity: transform 130 acres of industrial land into a new kind of neighborhood. That's when the vision for River District was born: a walkable community of homes, shops, and parks, all within 15 minutes of the airport, metro town, and downtown. All of this is anchored by an energy system that would make the entire neighborhood carbon neutral. Fast forward to today, developers across Canada are facing economic headwinds as costs mount and margins shrink. Metro Vancouver is phasing in regional increases that will push costs up by more than 250% by 2027, adding roughly $21,000 per unit on top of the city's own rising levies. This is forcing developers into capital preservation mode, with some having to pivot their approach by converting projects to purpose-built rentals in order to meet the pro forma requirements, or in worst cases, canceling projects altogether. As a recent example, Wesgroup officially canceled the Ardea project, a 204-unit development in River District. Originally billed as a landmark waterfront development, it became financially untenable because construction and delivery costs exceeded projections to the point that the project no longer made sense. And then there are taxes. When a new home is built, GST applies to almost every input in the process, from building materials to professional services. Studies show that taxes and fees now account for around 30% of the cost of a new home in some provinces. The rules don't even stay the same once a project has started and the hole in the ground is dug. Governments frequently introduce new taxes or policies that reshape project economics, like recent proposals around vacant land taxation and adjustments to how housing-related GST rebates are handled. Returns for developers are increasingly getting squeezed. With higher borrowing costs, rising fees, and slower pre-sales, the risk of building homes is starting to outweigh the reward. Essentially, we're trying to increase housing supply while taxing the out of it.
Which one?
I don't care which one! Get them both!
That man's an imposter! That man is the imposter!
Despite all these headwinds, Wesgroup and other major developers are playing the long game. Projects are being built, families are moving in, and River District is becoming a real community. Developments like River District highlight both the promise and the paradox of Canadian housing. We need supply more than ever, but the very systems meant to guide growth are making it harder to deliver. River District could prove that sustainable, large-scale communities are possible in Vancouver's future. Otherwise, it may stand as a warning about what happens when policy, economics, and ambition don't align.